Hello everybody, welcome back. So, Bitcoin decided to fall out of the sky, and two reasons for that, I assume. First reason being that it's definitely overreached, breaking through quite a lot of resistances, even getting above the 200 exponential moving average on the daily chart, where it was basically rejected from last night. This move here, basically, I would say, and this is something that's concerning me. Today's move was probably born in the wake of another whole Iran business. So that whole Iran stuff, where Iran were bombing American bases last night, apparently. I mean, I'm sure they were, but the news definitely reported that. And what that did to commodities across the board, the most important ones that would be being oil and gold, which have all been on runs over the last over the last week, really, a couple of weeks, similar to Bitcoin, really, and then they all dumped, and this dump kind of came at the same time as Donald Trump saying that don't worry, everything's fine, it's all the war is postponed until further notice, and then everything dumped in one big go. But the thing that annoys me about this is that now it would appear to us that that Bitcoin is going to trade like a commodity, which to me is a bit annoying, really, because one of the things that I like about Bitcoin, that I've always liked about it, is that you can use Bitcoin's chart and get a relatively decent grasp as to what's going on. So obviously it's a very volatile asset, which is why we like trading it, but one of the things that always has appealed to me about it is that you can look at that chart and you can generally go on the TA alone, and you don't need to worry about political interference, with wars and tensions and blah 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 blah, like you would do with other things like commodities, forex, stocks and shares, and the list goes on. But now it would appear that Bitcoin is subject to all of that after all. And that has really kind of pissed me off, basically, because now it means that we can't just sit here and look at a chart and work out what's most likely and what's most probable, because I could go to bed and wake up in the morning and some world-changing event has taken place and Bitcoin has reacted to that, whether that means going up or going down, most likely obviously going up, but it just interferes with the whole TA of how things work. Without those sort of, I guess you could, for want of a better word, political interferences, I won't call it manipulation, but it's subject to a whole new layer of manipulation, I suppose. When you have an asset like oil, obviously there's repercussions of international tensions, because we all need oil to get from A to B. Gold is a store of value. It does have some real world uses, but it's a store of value, basically. And when there's problems in the world, then the store of value goes up and goes down and blah blah blah. Bitcoin technically doesn't really have a purpose as yet. It's still waiting to be used for something, and it would appear now that, I know a lot of people have been calling it a store of value for a long time, which essentially it's been a very good store of value if you got in early enough, but now I would say it's a commodity. Someone put on because I mentioned this yesterday about how this was trading like a commodity, but now it's very clear that it definitely is. And someone put a comment on my channel saying that person, I don't know who they are, but he or she, but they definitely considered it to be a digital commodity, and it would appear that they were right. And I think I am going to classify Bitcoin as a digital commodity now. It's annoying me, basically. It's annoying me a lot. So one thing, and I've said this in my last few videos since I've been watching this Iran thing play out with the price of Bitcoin, one thing that often happens, and it almost always does happen with oil prices anyway, and anything that reacts to a world event, is that eventually they do come back down or go back up or whatever it is to continue with the trend that they're in the first place. So whatever happens, eventually the trend usually wins over time anyway. You can have all kinds of stuff happen, with the price can go up like what we've seen here, but then the trend will continue in the same direction that it was previously. And the thing is, with Bitcoin, it looked like we could have been on a pivotal moment anyway. It looked as though we could have been going up nevertheless, but that wasn't yet confirmed. It had gone up, and we'd broken out of a descending trend. I'm looking on TradingView, so I don't know of all those things. But basically, it had been going up, it had been moving to the side, and then it started going down again. And this is where I thought perhaps maybe we're going to come back down to test these levels and go back lower. Most people know me as a bit of a perma bear, which isn't the case. But when you have a chart like this, or the daily chart looks like this, then you probably do sound like a perma bear a lot of the time, because you're just talking about it going down most of the time. Anyway, it looked like it wanted to come back down to test 6,600 again, which I was more than happy with, because that was what I expected. And then this happened. This is where that general was assassinated, and this is where it brought us because of the tensions. We look at gold, we look at oil, and we basically see similar kind of moves. We certainly see an exact move on the way down, so we see that they are trending together, definitely 100%. They do react to political and international events the same. So if we're looking at it as a commodity, then and we do expect it to carry on with the trend, are we looking for another 6,600 or lower Bitcoin? The annoying thing is that we'll have to wait and see. It could have been breaking out at this point. We were just at a borderline area where we could have gone down and made that 6,600, but we didn't, and we came back up. So it's going to take probably about another week to see if it does carry on with its trend, which is what normally happens in things like this when trading commodities. They normally revert back to where they started from, in the direction they started from. So yeah, everyone's getting very excited about this. Everyone's calling for reversals, and that might happen, because again, this is the first time I've really seen this with Bitcoin, so it might not go back down again, because it does trade differently. There's more people sort of trading this in, the more bedroom traders, armchair traders trading Bitcoin than there would be trading oil, for instance, or gold, which have a much longer history to go by. But intuition is going to tell me that it's going to carry on with its downward trend over time. And this is just a blip in the bubble. Now, if international tensions continue to rise, we've seen what happened with this price so far, then I would expect it to rise with it. But if Donald Trump and America and Iran have done their business and happy with their retaliation or whatever it is that's going on now, if that has all been nipped in the bud or called even, then we will probably basically come down, because there's no more tension anymore currently. So give it a week or so and we'll see which direction this decides to take. Now I do expect, regardless of all of that, during this period there's going to be a lot of people wanting to FOMO back into this, because they don't really understand that concept. They're looking at this as a reversal, and that's fine. It'll be similar to what we saw on this big move here. Giant big move here, and lots of people FOMOing in, basically losing their money bit by bit until we drop back down again, down into this 6,600 area. So yeah, I do think that we're likely to start to see some things like this, big moves, $500 or more moves in a day, up and down, but every time perhaps making a lower low and a lower high, just like we did see here. So that's my expectation of this, to be honest with you, now that we're looking at it as a commodity. The only thing that would stop that, and there's two things obviously that will stop that. First of all is the fact that it's Bitcoin, and it could have forged an actual reversal. Second thing would be that it's basically just trading like a commodity is, and it will come down with the price of oil and with the price of gold, and probably harder because it's Bitcoin and it's more volatile. Anyway, so there's less about TA and more about, I guess, a theory that I've got there, but the theory does appear to have some value to it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on that. I know it's not my normal type of video. There's not a great deal to say. My video yesterday kind of explained what we're doing and where we're going, so tune in for more. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.